When humans joined the galactic community, most alien species did not take them seriously. Humans were new and came from a small planet called Earth. They had only just started to travel through space. But when Earth made a request to explore and settle a water planet called Mercis IV, many aliens laughed. Mercis IV was almost completely covered in water. There were no large continents, only small islands and deep oceans. No alien race had ever tried to live on such a planet. Many species could not survive underwater. The Trilk feared drowning. The Varnak would melt in salt water. Even the Zale, who lived in swamps, refused to go near deep oceans. They believed water worlds were cursed. But the humans were different. They saw Mercis IV not as a danger, but as a challenge. Commander Laura Briggs, a former marine biologist, believed the planet could be a new home. She had spent years studying life under Earth's oceans and felt ready for this new world. Captain Eric Daniels, leader of the spaceship SS Neptune, agreed. He trusted Laura's knowledge and shared her curiosity. The HSS Neptune was a strong and fast ship. It was built for exploration and survival in harsh environments. The crew was a mix of brave and smart people. There was Matteo, the lead engineer, who loved solving problems. Nana Caldwell, a young scientist, wanted to study alien sea creatures. Logan, a skilled diver, was ready to go deeper than anyone else. When the Neptune arrived at Mercis IV, the crew looked out at a never-ending ocean. There was no land in sight, only waves and clouds. It was beautiful, but also very lonely. Still, they got to work. They dropped floating platforms into the sea and sent small machines underwater to study the ocean. The water was deep and cold. Strange lights moved below the surface. Matteo built the first underwater base. It was small, like a house, and sat on the ocean floor. It had strong walls and lights. Logan was the first to go inside. He moved carefully, checking every part. Then he gave a thumbs up. It was safe. Soon, more bases were added. They were connected by long tunnels. The crew used small submarines to move between them. Nana studied glowing fish and strange plants. She took notes and samples. Laura swam with the sea life and watched how they behaved. Eric stayed on the Neptune, watching over everyone. But it was not easy. Sometimes the sea was calm, and sometimes it was wild. Huge waves crashed against the platforms. Underwater, dark shapes moved through the deep. The crew saw creatures bigger than anything on Earth. Some looked like giant squids. Others had lights all over their bodies. They were beautiful, but also scary. One night, the base shook. Something large had hit it. Alarms went off. Logan and Matteo went outside to check. They found long scratches on the walls. Whatever had come by was curious, maybe even angry. But it left without breaking in. The aliens watching from far away thought the humans would give up. They waited for the Neptune to turn around and leave. But the humans stayed. They repaired the base. They improved their equipment. They dived deeper. Commander Briggs sent a message to Earth. She said the planet was dangerous, but also full of life. She believed they had only seen a small part of what was possible. She asked for more supplies and more people. Back on Earth, many people were amazed. Some were scared, but most were proud. The humans were not turning away from fear. They were going forward, into the unknown. The crew of the Neptune knew there would be more danger ahead, but they also knew something else. They were the first to touch the ocean of Mercis IV, and they would not be the last. Life under the water on Mercis IV was not easy. The ocean was deep and full of secrets. Every day, the crew of the HSS Neptune faced new challenges. But they did not stop. They wanted to learn more and go deeper. Commander Laura Briggs watched as her team worked hard. Matteo, the engineer, was busy fixing machines and building stronger underwater walls. Logan, the diver, trained every day. He swam deeper into the ocean, finding strange rocks and sea creatures. Nina, The young scientist studied the samples they brought back. She found glowing plants that made clean energy and fish that could change color. The sea was alive. Strange sounds came from the deep. At night, bright lights moved far below. The team was careful, but also excited. They were seeing things no one had ever seen before. One day, Nina found something special. It was a small creature with clear skin and tiny lights inside. When she touched the water near it, the creature made soft sounds. It was not just swimming. It was trying to talk. Nina was amazed. She started recording the sounds and showed them to Laura and Eric. "I think they are intelligent," Nina said. "They are not just animals. They might understand us." Captain Eric Daniels listened to the recordings. The sounds were like songs. They changed with light and movement. It was not random. The crew agreed they had to be careful. These creatures might be more than just sea life. They could be a kind of people. That night, the base shook again. This time, it was stronger. A loud hum filled the water. Lights blinked outside the windows. Logan went out in a small submarine to see what was happening. He saw a huge shape in the dark. It was bigger than any whale on Earth. It had long arms and many eyes that glowed. It looked at him, then swam away. Logan came back shaken. "It saw me," he said. "It was looking at me, not like an animal, like it knew who I was." The next day, more strange events happened. Machines stopped working for no reason. Sonar picked up shapes that were too big to be fish. The lights in the base flickered. Matteo checked everything. "No damage," he said, "but something is interfering with our systems." The team started to wonder, what if the ocean itself was alive in some way? What if it was watching them? They sent more probes into the deep. One of them sent back pictures of an underwater mountain. The mountain was covered in lights and strange lines, like writing. Nana studied the images. "This is not natural," she said. "Someone built this. Long ago." Eric made a decision. "We go deeper. We find out what's down there." It was dangerous, but the crew prepared. Logan and Nina went down in a new deep-sea pod. It was strong and had lights, cameras, and tools. They dropped into the dark water, passing glowing fish and giant jellyfish. The water grew colder. The pressure was strong, but the pod held. Finally, they reached the mountain. It was huge and quiet. Strange shapes moved in the distance. The lights on the mountain changed slowly, like breathing. Nina felt something. Not fear, but something close, like someone was there. "Do you feel that?" Logan asked. "Yes," Nina said. "It's like something is waiting." They stayed for a while, watching. Then they went back up. When they returned, the crew gathered to hear what they saw. Laura listened carefully. "This place is more than just a sea," she said. "Something is living here, something old, and we have woken it." Outside, the sea was quiet again, but deep below, something had started to move. The crew of the HSS Neptune knew something had changed. Since Logan and Nina returned from the deep sea, the ocean felt different. It was still calm on the surface, but under the water, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Nina worked day and night, studying the sounds from the deep. She believed they were messages, not just random noise. She played them for Commander Laura Briggs and Captain Eric Daniels. The sounds were soft and slow, like a song sung by a giant creature. Some parts repeated, and others changed like answers to questions. "They are trying to speak to us," Nina said. "I don't know how, but they understand we are here." Matteo, the engineer, worked on building stronger pods and better tools. They needed to go deeper and stay longer. Logan, still brave and curious, trained every day. He wanted to go back to the glowing mountain. Soon, the team built a new base near a deep trench. It was harder to reach but closer to the strange signals. The base had thick walls, bright lights, and better computers. They called it Deep Station 1. One morning, Nina found something strange on one of the seabed rocks near the mountain. It was not a natural shape. It looked like a piece of a machine, but old and covered in sea plants. She cleaned it and brought it back. "This is not from any known alien race," Nina said. "It is ancient, maybe thousands of years old." Matteo helped take it apart. Inside, they found a small crystal that still gave off power. When they touched it, the lights flickered, and the computers beeped. It was still working, even after all that time. Logan made another dive. This time, he found more. Strange metal pieces, broken walls, and round stones with carvings. Some of the carvings looked like sea creatures, but others looked almost human. He took pictures and showed them to the crew. "Someone tried to live here before us," Laura said, "but they didn't survive." Eric looked at the photos. Or maybe they didn't leave. Maybe they became part of the sea. They all sat quietly after that. The idea was strange, but it felt true. The ocean seemed alive, not just full of life, but living in its own way. Later that week, the sea showed them something new. Glowing coral forests appeared near the base. They were tall and full of light. The coral gave off clean energy that powered their machines. Nana studied the coral and found it changed the water. It made it easier to breathe and filled with oxygen. "This coral is helping us," she said. "It knows we are here, and it wants us to stay." Laura sent a report to Earth. She explained what they had found. The messages, the machines, the coral, and the feeling of being welcome. Earth sent back a message full of support. They were proud of the crew. But not all the news was good. Other alien species had started to notice. Some warned Earth to leave Mercis IV. They said the planet was dangerous and cursed. They told stories of ships that went missing and people who vanished. Captain Daniels did not believe those stories. He had seen the sea, and it was strange, yes, but not evil. He felt they had a chance to learn something great. That night, while looking out the window, Laura saw lights in the distance. They were not from the crew. They moved in a slow line, like a group of creatures traveling together. She called Nina and Logan. "They're watching us again," Logan said. "No," Nina said, looking closer. "They're showing us the way." And so the journey continued, deeper and deeper, into the heart of the unknown sea. Something was down there. Something old. Something waiting to be found. The crew of the HSS Neptune was now living and working near the deep trench. Every day, they saw new signs that the ocean on Mercis IV was more than just water. It was alive, aware, and possibly very old. The glowing coral forests continued to grow. They gave clean energy, helped clean the water, and even changed the air inside the base. Nana believed the coral was learning from them. It seemed to grow faster near machines, as if it understood how to help. Logan went on another dive. He followed the lights Laura had seen the night before. They led him to a huge open area at the bottom of the trench. It looked like a city. The buildings were round, smooth, and covered in glowing plants. Some were broken, but others still stood tall. He returned to the base with pictures and videos. Everyone was shocked. "This is proof," Nina said. "An ancient city, deep under the sea. This was home to someone long ago." They began to study the area. Logan and Matteo worked together to make a strong new pod that could go inside the ruins. Nana stayed in the lab, trying to decode the sounds and patterns coming from the city. She noticed that the strange songs from the sea matched the shapes on the old buildings. It was a language of sound and light. But not everything was peaceful. One night, a loud noise filled the base. The walls shook. Alarms went off. Something had hit the outside of the base. Logan looked at the camera feeds. A large creature was swimming nearby. It had glowing eyes and long arms. It hit the base again, then swam away. Cassidy, another diver on the team, wanted to study the creature. She took a small pod and followed its trail. At first, everything was quiet. Then her voice came over the radio. "Something's wrong," she said. "The lights are going out. I hear something." Her signal was lost. The crew tried to reach her, but there was no answer. Logan and Matteo went out to look for her. They found the pod crushed on the seafloor. Cassidy was gone. Everyone was silent. Cassidy was their friend, their teammate. Her loss was hard. Logan blamed himself. "I should have gone with her," he said. Eric, the captain, spoke to the crew. "We knew this would be dangerous, but we can't turn back now. We have come too far. We must learn what this ocean is trying to tell us." They upgraded their gear. The pods were made stronger. New sensors were added to hear and see better in the deep. The coral even helped, growing over the outside of the base like armor. Nina made a breakthrough. She found a pattern in the sounds. They were not just songs. They were warnings. The ocean was protecting something. It had let the humans come close, but now it was testing them. "It thinks we are like the ones who came before," Nina said. "But we are not. We want to understand, not take." Laura decided they needed to send a message, not just with machines or words, but with light and sound. They created a signal using the coral's glow and the strange music. It was slow, gentle, and peaceful. The ocean responded. A soft wave passed through the water. The glowing creatures returned, swimming in calm lines. The strange sounds changed. They were softer now, like a welcome. Eric smiled. It heard us, and it listened. That night, the crew stood at the windows. The sea around them was alive with light. It was beautiful and strange, still full of danger, but also hope. They knew the path ahead would not be easy, but they also knew they were not alone. The sea had seen many visitors. Most had failed, but maybe, just maybe, the humans were different. And far below, the ancient city waited for them to return. The lights in the deep ocean city grew brighter each day. The sea seemed to be changing. The coral around the base started to form shapes that looked like symbols. Nina believed it was more than decoration. She thought the coral was copying something from the old ruins below. "It is learning from us," she said, "and it wants to teach us too." The crew of the HSS Neptune felt they were close to something big. Logan, Matteo, and Cassidy's brother Owen prepared for a deep dive into the city. They used a new sub built from Earth tech mixed with coral energy. The sub glowed softly, like it was part of the ocean. As they descended, the trench opened wide. The ancient city looked even larger up close. Towers of stone and coral reached toward the dark surface above. The water shimmered with lights. Strange creatures moved between the buildings, slow and silent. Inside the city, the walls were smooth and covered in glowing patterns. Owen touched one, and a soft light moved across it, like it was alive. The team followed the lights into a large building. It had high walls and a round room in the center. There they found something that looked like a seat or control chair. "This might be a command center," Matteo said. Logan sat in the chair. Nothing happened at first. Then the walls lit up. Images appeared, stars, planets, and ships. They were old but clear. A voice, soft and strange, filled the room. It spoke in the same sound pattern Nina had studied. Back at the base, Nina was watching through the camera feed. She listened carefully. "It's not a warning," she said. "It's a memory. This city is telling us a story." The images showed a race of beings, tall and thin, with glowing skin. They had built the city long ago. They were explorers, like the humans, but they had made a mistake. They took too much from the sea. The ocean had tried to stop them. Some had died. Others had changed. Some became part of the ocean forever. They were smart, but they forgot to listen, Logan said. The ocean gave them life, but they didn't respect it. The crew was silent. It was a warning, but also a second chance. The ocean had not destroyed the city. It had kept it safe, waiting for someone new. Suddenly, the room shook. Outside, a dark shape swam quickly through the water. It was the same creature that had attacked before. But this time, it was not alone. More shapes followed it, large, fast, and angry. "We need to leave," Owen said. Logan agreed. "Now." They raced back to the sub and returned to the base. The creatures did not follow them, but the message was clear. Not everyone in the sea wanted them there. Eric met them at the dock. Laura listened to the story of the ancient city. Nana shared what she had learned. "Some of the sea creatures are protectors," she said. "They guard the city. They think we are like the ones before. We need to show them we are not." The crew worked together to build a beacon. It used coral light and soft sound like the ocean's own language. They placed it near the edge of the city. When it turned on, the sea grew calm. The lights returned. Even the large creatures watched from a distance, but did not attack. That night, the ocean sang a new song. It was slow, deep, and peaceful. It filled the base with soft music. "It's a sign," Laura said. "They know we are different." But deep below, the city still held secrets. The crew knew they had only begun to understand the truth of Mercis IV. The sea had shared its past. Now, it waited to see what humans would do next. The sea was quiet for many days. The beacon the crew placed near the ancient city kept glowing. It sent soft lights and sounds into the water, like a gentle hello. The large sea creatures stayed far away now. They watched, but did not come close. The crew used this time to explore more. Logan and Owen dove into new tunnels in the city ruins. They found old rooms filled with machines, broken but still full of strange energy. Some machines looked like tools for learning or healing. Others looked like they were made to speak with the ocean. Nina studied the symbols carved into the walls. She saw patterns that matched the stars. She thought the city builders may have come from another world far away, just like humans did. "They traveled like us," she said. "But they stayed. And they changed." Matteo worked with the coral. He found that when he placed tools near it, the coral shaped itself to fit. It was like the coral was thinking, trying to help. "It learns fast," he said. "It wants to build." Laura and Eric had a meeting with the whole crew. "We came here to explore," Laura said. "But now we are part of something bigger. We must act with care. This sea is not just full of life. It is a kind of life itself." That night, something new happened. The beacon changed. Its lights began to move in new patterns. The music changed too. Nina watched it closely. "This is not random," she said. "It is asking us to come." The next morning, the crew prepared a special dive. Nina, Logan, and Matteo would follow the beacon's new signal. They took the sub and went deep, past the city, into a part of the trench they had never visited before. As they went deeper, the water grew darker. The lights on the sub showed strange rock shapes. Some looked like statues. Others looked like gates or doorways. The signal led them to a wide cave at the bottom of the trench. They entered slowly. Inside, the cave was full of light, not from the sun, but from the walls. The rock glowed with soft colors. In the center of the cave was a large stone platform. On it sat a clear sphere, floating in the water. They stopped the sub and swam closer. The sphere began to shine brighter. Inside it, they saw moving lights, like stars in the sky. A voice filled the cave. It was not loud, but clear. It spoke in the sea's tongue language. Nina listened. "It is a message," she said, "from the ones who came before. They left it here for those who could understand." The message told a story. The builders of the city had once lived in the stars. They came to Mercis IV and found the ocean full of power. But they took too much. The sea pushed back. Some died. Some became part of the sea. In the end, the builders chose to give back. They gave their knowledge, their tools, and even their bodies to help the sea live. The message ended with a choice. It asked the humans, "Will you also give? Will you protect this place, as we tried to do?" The crew returned to the base. They told everyone what they saw and heard. Laura stood silent for a long time. "We came here to learn," she said. "Now we are asked to care, to give, not just take. We must decide who we are." The crew talked late into the night. Some were afraid. Others felt proud. They were not just visitors anymore. They were part of the story. And far below, in the quiet deep, the sea waited for their answer. The sea around Deep Station 1 was calm. The glowing coral swayed gently with the current. Lights from the beacon still pulsed, steady and soft. But inside the station, the crew felt the weight of the message they had received. They had learned much about the ocean and the old ones who had lived there before. Now the sea had asked them a question. Would they stay and help or leave and forget? Captain Eric stood with Laura and the others in the main room. "We came here to explore," he said, "but now we have a chance to do something more." Nina looked at the recordings from the sphere. They gave everything to protect this world. "The ocean trusts us now. We should not break that trust." Owen, still sad about his sister Cassidy, nodded. "If we stay, we must do better. We must respect this place." Matteo smiled. "The coral is ready. It wants to help us. We can build something new. A station that lives with the sea, not against it." The crew voted. All agreed. They would stay. But not just to study. They would help the ocean grow and protect what was left by the ones before. The first step was building a new base. This time, they used coral grown with human tools. The coral shaped itself into smooth walls and strong towers. It made rooms filled with clean air and soft light. The ocean did not fight them. It helped. Nina found that the coral could store information, like a computer. She placed messages and data inside it. In return, it shared more secrets from the sea. Old songs, lost maps, even images of life forms never seen before. Logan trained new divers. He showed them how to swim with care, how to listen to the sea. The large creatures no longer attacked. They came close, watched, and then swam away. Some even guided the crew through tunnels and caves. One day, while exploring a new area, Logan and Owen found another message sphere. This one showed a picture of humans. It had been made by the coral, using data the crew had placed in it. The sea had learned who they were. "It knows us now," Logan said, "and it has accepted us." The team shared this with Earth. People on Earth were amazed. Some wanted to send more ships. Others warned against it. The leaders on Earth asked the crew what they thought. Laura answered, "Mercis IV is not ours to take. It is a place to learn, to protect, and to grow with. If others come, they must follow our path." And so, Earth agreed. Mercis IV would not be turned into a mining world or a military base. It would become a shared world, a place of peace, science, and respect. Over time, more humans came, but only in small numbers. Scientists, builders, and teachers. The sea welcomed them too. Coral cities grew, lit by clean energy, and shaped by human hands and ocean life together. Years passed. The story of the first crew of the HSS Neptune became known across the stars. They were not remembered as conquerors, but as listeners, as those who dove into the unknown, not to take, but to understand. In the deep, the ancient city still stood, quiet, glowing, and full of memory. The ocean still sang, but now the song had changed. It was a song of welcome. Nina, older now, stood at the window of the new base. Children laughed nearby, learning from both books and the sea. Logan swam past with a group of young divers, showing them the ruins. She smiled. "We were not the first," she whispered, "but we will not be the last." And deep below, the sea listened. It remembered, and for the first time in a very long time, it hoped.